going to record the meeting. That was so subtle of me. How are you? Welcome back.
I'm good. Nice to see you again, Zibby. Thanks.
Nice to see you too. Well, we're joined by a bunch of people who are just obsessed with your book and your writing, and we've had the best conversation. And
oh, that's so nice to hear. Thank you.
Everyone is over the moon, just in awe of you and your writing and the difference, even your ability to go from a book like The Paris Wife to this, and the way you included trauma throughout, and how you, I mean, the whole thing. So
thank you.
So thank you for being here. I know we're going to have a lot of questions for you. So, get ready.
Let's do it.
So if you guys want to unmute and ask, somebody had a question. Let's see. Someone had, well, who wants to start?
I can ask my question.
Yeah, great. Go ahead.
I'll start. Hi, Paula. I'm Megan. I wanted to know about Hunter in the rescue scene. I was so curious about
hang on just a second, my doggy wants to say hi.
It was so surprising.
Sorry.
Okay.
She'll be much quieter in my office. So is the question, Megan, about
yes. So I wanted to know, like, when you were writing, did you always know that was going to be a part, that he was going to be in that moment? I was so surprised to have him there. And it reminded me of, I asked this question also, Robert Parker books, which I read when I was like a teenager. I don't know if you've read any of those books, but he had this character called Hawk, who always ended up like swooping in the moment in a way that you couldn't understand how he got there. Yeah. Well, and I found such relief in that moment in discovering that the two women were not alone. Yeah. So I just, like, to me, I felt like you rescued me by adding him in.
Oh, what a beautiful thing to say. So
I felt so anxious, and then such relief that he was there. So I was just curious about that. Like, did you always know that he was going to be a part of that?
So sometimes I know a scene before I write it, and sometimes this wonderful thing happens where I'm really inside the moment, and almost even spatially, right? As if I'm an actress and I'm in the scene myself and in all of the characters' heads. And in that moment, Anna looked up and then Hector was there, right? So it was a surprise to me that he was there. And then, I don't know, I just was so moved, right? I was just so moved that he would be there, and it allowed me to get to an emotional place that I felt like that I needed to get to in the book and in that moment. And I know other writers who feel this way too. Some writers say, oh, I'm just like the stenographer and all these voices are talking and I'm just taking notes and writing furiously. I don't feel that way, but I do feel like I'm involved in a collaborative process, and that the characters can surprise me, that I don't always know what they're going to do. I feel like I need to stay super present the way we are, right, in any conversation. Like now, I don't know what you're going to say, but right, but I just have to be present while you say it, and then to respond in a way that makes you sure that I've been listening to you, if that makes sense, right? That we're in conversation. Yeah.
I mean, it makes perfect. I don't want to monopolize the time, because I could go through your book line by line and just tell you how much I loved everything about it. But that particular moment in the book felt like this piece of magic that, like, it's magic for the brother and sister. It's magic for the two women alone in the woods. It's, it makes this chaotic scene feel safer, and to know that it was like your mind gave you that gift too. Just, I
that's
just love all that.
No, so thank you. That's a beautiful insight. So thank you. I'm glad you liked him. I love Hector. I don't know. I love him.
I got his name wrong, but
oh, it's okay. I knew who you meant.
Really was.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't know, Richard Parker. Is that what you said? I should write that down.
Robert Parker. He wrote these like pulpy books. He wrote these, what was the name of his detective? But he wrote these pulpy books, and I saw at the end that you love Kate Atkinson, and I love Kate Atkinson. I love Jackson
she's
Brody
genius. Yeah.
and those books. But these ones were like pulpy, and they were in Boston. But he had a character like that, where there would be these moments where you're like, how is this going to end up okay? How are they not all going to die? And then this guy was his enigmatic sort of sidekick. Oh yeah, Spencer, the Spencer novels. And Hawk is his like, kind of edgy sidekick best friend who they're always having a falling out, but he takes care of Spencer. He makes sure that Spencer doesn't die. And that's what this felt like in this moment. Like, oh my God, that, she has someone looking out for her. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Next.
How did you overcome your background? How do you avoid it or include it in your writing? I mean, I know it wasn't included in The Paris Wife.
No, I mean, certainly there are elements of me in The Paris Wife, and elements of my background that felt familiar when I was researching Hadley's life, the way we both really relied on books, for instance, right? And the way that we were both trying to escape our families, although in very different ways. I think that when I was young, I thought that the secret to surviving my childhood was to run as fast as I could away from it and to pretend as if it didn't have to at least make a difference, that I could transcend it by launching myself like a rocket away from it. And the older I get and the more therapy I've had, the more I realize that healing really isn't about letting go, but about letting everything in, if that makes sense to you.
Yes.
Every piece of our story belongs to us. And the more we can recognize that and to sort of pull it all forward, the more whole we become. And I think the more we can understand that each of us has things, right, that we would leave behind, that we wish that we could forget, all of our regrets, all of our bad decisions, etc. But the more kind of tolerance we can have for the light and dark aspects of our personality, the better off we'll be able to see the light and dark in everybody else, right? The humanity. And I think that's what makes a good writer too, is that we're not here to judge our characters, but to better understand them and to give them a full life, a full human life. That sounds ridiculous. I'm talking about characters. And yet I think that's what I'm up to as a writer, is sort of writing about the human condition through characters. So how did I get over my childhood? I don't think I have.
Perhaps all of us have.
Yeah.
So Shelley has a couple questions. I don't know, Shelley, if you want to ask yourself, you can unmute or whatever, but she would like to know your writing process and if you pants or plan, and also what your publishing journey for this book was like.
Okay, so my process is incredibly inefficient and chaotic and intuitive, and I always am wishing that I could be more organized from the beginning. I also want to write faster. I think every writer wants to write faster and to make it easier somehow, but I have this very painstaking process on my computer where I kind of have to write a beginning before I can move on and write anything else. I have to get the voice down. I have to build the world. So in this book, that world of Mendocino, for instance, was really important to me, to have Anna be in a place that felt palpable, right? And I've been to Mendocino, so that was helpful. Unlike when I wrote about Paris, I had never been to Paris and had to get there on Google Earth, which is, I know, kind of embarrassing to admit, but very true. The publishing experience for this book was a little terrifying because I didn't write it under contract because I was afraid to tell my editor that I was jumping ship and changing genres. And my agent, I did tell, and she said, Zibby, I think I already told you this, maybe not, but I think I did. I told my agent about the idea, and she said, amazing, I can't wait to see you write it, but maybe let's not tell Random House that Paula McLain is going to write a thriller. Maybe you should prove to them that you can write it before we try to sell them on it, because otherwise they might have a heart attack. Because, the genre that I was in was I was good at it, and I was successful at it. So why, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I'd had this idea, and it was really compelling. And this character was really compelling to me. And I kind of had an instinct that she could take me to some significant places, emotional places, if I was going to take a risk and follow her there. So thankfully, when I did finally finish a draft and gave it to my editor, she didn't say, "Are you crazy?" She loved it, and my publisher loved it, and they thought it was absolutely the right thing to do, even though they didn't anticipate it. And so I've been really lucky. My whole team wants for me what I want for myself. And how many of us can actually say that about, our team, whoever those people are, our families, our best friends, right? Who worry about us. But yeah, I'm very lucky. I have a really supportive, nurturing group of people around me. So yay.
I bet Random House is feeling pretty good now, right?
Yeah.
Good decision for them.
Yeah.
Okay, Lisa is wondering, and Lisa, if you want to ask, go ahead. If not, I'll read it. How do you write so well about trauma?
Ooh, how do I write so well about trauma? I think it's because not just that I have life experience, but that I'm fascinated by it. I'm obsessed with it, in fact. And I think I feel, I don't know, more and more that as a culture, because I'm reading about it all the time now, I think we're all getting super interested in how trauma and how our traumatic experiences live inside our bodies, whether or not we're conscious of that, whether we remember those experiences and then are enacted in our behavior. And so the thing to do is to be more and more conscious of how those experiences get knitted into our stories. I don't know. I love the brain. I've always loved science, and I'm just, I don't know, completely blown away by how complicated we are. Our bodies, just the human animal as a creature, is just so absolutely, unbelievably complicated. We can never get to the bottom of it, right? Who we are and what we're here for and what we're up to and what makes us behave in the ways that we do. And I think I also write about trauma. Thank you for saying I write about it well. I mean to. I mean to also be really sensitive too. And when I was researching this book, I was reading true crime for the first time, and more disturbed, I think, by these books that fetishize predators. We are, I think, interested in just bizarre behavior, right? But in terms of criminology, I didn't want to be inside the mind of a killer. I wanted to know more about victims. And in the books that I was reading, the victims were just thumbnail sketches, right? They weren't full people with real lives. I didn't know what happened to them before the moment that they became a victim, and I didn't know what happened to them after. And so in my novel, I make Anna wonder that same thing, right? I basically make Anna want to know all the stuff that I want to know. I was using her as my avatar.
Love that. Okay, let's see. Someone is saying, well, Beth, there are lots of nice comments. Like Beth is saying, living here in Petaluma, I think you did a wonderful job in writing about
Oh,
that
wow.
time,
Thank you.
kidnapping, and also of the area.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And Megan is saying it was nice to have characters who have trauma but aren't victims or perpetrators only.
That we can transcend that story, that we don't have to be defined by that. Yeah, I think that's true. And I do believe that we can all heal our experiences, no matter how slight or profound, and no matter how long it takes us. My sister's 57 and in therapy for the first time.
Wow.
So, right?
Well, that might change family dynamics a little. Keep us posted on
I'll
that.
keep you posted, Zibby.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
You can write an anonymous piece for Moms Don't Have Time to Write. Give us we'll all know who wrote it, but no one else.
Yeah, right. Anonymous, but not anonymous.
Does anybody have questions? I can always ask questions. Yeah, Sherry.
I just am so impressed with your range in being able to write such solid historical fiction and then also this literary thriller. And I'm curious about, do you prefer writing one to the other? And are we going to see more books like this one in the future?
Thank you, by the way, and thanks for reading. And, my range, I suppose, has always been in play since I got my start as a poet. And then I wrote memoir about growing up in foster care. And then I wrote a first novel, which was contemporary. And then I wrote historical. And now this. So I've sort of always been bouncing around. I'm like Madonna, reinventing myself. I think what it is that it's the idea that dictates to me the medium. And so this character and this world that presented itself kind of out of the sky. I love the subconscious, by the way. I think sometimes our subconscious minds have agendas for us that maybe we don't necessarily know about or aren't in tune with, but then if we hang on for the ride, can learn about. What I loved about this, Sherry, was that it felt like the ceiling kind of flew off. And for 10 years, I'd been writing very tethered to specific women's lives from history, tethered to history, and accountable to the historical facts on record. And suddenly, for the first time, I could write about anything, anyone, in any time period where anything could happen. And as terrifying as that was, it felt so liberating and exciting and transformative. So all I know is that whatever happens next, I want it to feel like that. I want it to feel like I could write anything because I need to know that I can write anything, or rather I need to know I can follow inspiration wherever it's going. I mean, did you ever read Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert? I don't know.
Yeah.
Exactly. Super fascinated by the creative process and our ability to trust it and to trust the rhythms of life instead of necessarily to feel like we always need to be in control.
Yeah.
Right? No control freaks here though, right, Zibby?
No,
Absolutely
not me.
not.
No,
No.
I am so laid back, and all are. What's that? I'm just gonna highlight different people and call on people and manage the conversation of 50 people at once. Anyway,
That was thank you, Sherry.
I love
Thank
your
you.
answer. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Any other questions?
Hi, Paula.
Hi.
It's Francine. First of all, I love the book. I read it in 2 days. It was fantastic. Thank you so much. What are you reading now? What do you like to read?
What am I reading now? I'm reading, oh my goodness. Now I have to think. Oh my goodness. Oh, I know. I just ordered Lisa Tadeo's book, Animal.
Oh,
Yes.
And I've read 2, maybe 3 chapters, and she is blowing my mind. I didn't read 3 Women, which I guess was her last monster bestseller. So do you guys know about this book?
Where is she's coming to our book club?
Oh, well,
You should
there
come.
you go.
You should join us. Come back as a guest.
I will, in fact. Can you tell her? I think she's a the book slaps and that she's a stone cold rock star.
Wow, she'd probably love to hear that. So
No, it's absolutely amazing. And I think, well, there's definitely a trauma piece in it, a big trauma piece. And the way our stories sometimes tell us instead of the other way around, unless we become conscious of that. But her prose, I think, and just the rage in that book is so satisfying and terrifying for sure. What are you reading? Francine?
Oh,
Yeah,
to me,
yeah.
I'm reading The Newcomer by Mary Kay Andrews. I just
Oh.
finished, I was telling everybody, I just finished this over the weekend, The Clover Girls, and it was fabulous. I can't even say enough about it, but I have a whole stack of fun stuff.
Yeah. Mary Kay is a friend of a friend. And so she just sent me that book, in fact. So I'm looking forward to having a little more time to read. Aren't we always looking for more time to read?
Yeah, pretty much. Thank you.
have you read The Maidens yet, by the way?
So that's sitting on my kitchen counter right now because it just arrived as well. And again, I think I read 2 chapters. Yeah. Did you
my
finish it?
I haven't finished it, but I did interview him, and I'm so I'm almost done. But I just thought I saw some similarities to your book and like the literariness of like bringing the literary vibe to a mystery.
Is he on the podcast? Is it already aired?
No, I did it today.
Oh, you did it today.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let me know because I need to hear that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, not to recommend another book. Yours was amazing. Okay. Another question. Anybody out there? No questions?
I have another question. Have
Great.
you started anything on a next book, or do you have any ideas, or are you allowed to say, or just kind of
I
taking it
haven't. I'm
this
not
way?
under contract, so I probably won't say too much. But and by the way, you have to say hi to my doggy. That's Piper. Piper girl.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm a proud dog mom. So
what kind of dog?
she's a golden doodle and she just turned 5 and she's perfect.
I love it.
She's like, she knows that I'm talking about her right now too. I have started something new because I need to write in order to feel like a sane person. It's that thing that I do that makes me feel most like myself. And so particularly during the publication process, which is something we can't control, right? There's just no way, once you've written the book, there's no way that you can control the reception. I mean, just no way. And so in order to see my t-shirt, it says hope. Isn't that cute?
Mhm.
I just caught a flash of my,
Yeah.
not that I'm ADD or anything, but during the publication process, I need to be working on something so I don't lose my mind. So I have maybe 75 pages of a story that might be a continuation of Anna's story because I feel very invested in her. I think she's a wonderful vehicle, and I'm really invested in her story and in the world. I spent so much time building that world. So, and maybe continuing Hector's story as well, maybe, and finding out what happened to Hap, maybe. And then I have 75 or 100 pages on something that's different, but also in the same, sort of in the crime realm, but literary and also historical, but
Oh.
not tethered to a biographical character. So I think that's my jam.
Okay. Wow. good thought.
Actually, I really like, and although it was unexpected in this book, I really like surfing that line between fact and fiction and staying tethered enough to real events and to history, and to mine that for texture and for granularity, for specificity. And because we live inside history, don't we? Right? And history is always playing itself out in our stories too. So that's kind of where I'm at, and we'll see. We'll see. I'm enjoying, again, just being able to write without having a deadline, without anybody knowing what I'm doing. There's great freedom, in fact, in having nobody reading pages or kind of knowing what I'm up to. It feels like I'm playing hooky or something.
Awesome. Paula, thank you so much for coming and chatting
Well,
with us.
thank you, Zibby. I feel like you're the gift that keeps on giving, and not just to me, but to writers and books and readers and moms of moms and just the world in general. And obviously you're a rock star, and I can't wait to see what you do next, the 100 million, 1,000 million things that you're doing all at once and doing them so beautifully. Congratulations on all your recent accolades and publication news and whatever amazing thing is happening today and tomorrow. So, and there goes my doggy.
Thank you. Thank you, Paula. That was amazing. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right. Nice to see you again, Zibby. Thanks for reading, guys, and take good care.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
This is so great. So great.
Okay. Bye, y'all. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.